In this video, we're going to be talking about designing a Airtag holder that is in the shape of a credit card that will fit in your wallet. We'll be using the dimensions here for a credit card, and I know this dimension looks a little wonky, but we'll need this diagonal dimension for our revolve that we're going to do. We're also going to need the dimension of our Airtag here, the 1.25. So to get started, we're going to open up a new part. We're going to start a new sketch. We're going to be doing a revolve, so we'll want to use the front plane right here. You're going to right click, view normal to sketch plane. Then we're going to want to go up here to our center point circle. And since we're doing a revolve, you don't want to put it in the center. You're going to want to put it off to the side over here. And we'll set the dimension later for what we actually want that to be. This is going to be 0.125. And then we'll need a couple of lines by using the line function up here. And we'll want to make this in the shape of half of our credit card. So you go up, over, down right here to another line, and we're going to want to make about the same shape right there. So these two lines will be a 1/32 of an inch. It'll kind of give us a little bit of material for the printer to bind or to grab onto the Airtag. So we'll make this 0.03125. And then we'll want to constrain both of these to be the same size. So we'll go up to our constraints, the top right up here, click on the equal sign, click on this line, and click on this line. So we'll want to set our distance for this circle. It'll be the cavity that our Airtag goes into. And we'll want to have the outside dimension of the circle go to our center point right here, and we'll want to use the dimension we have in our Airtag, right, the 1.25. And since it's a revolve, we'll only need half that distance, right? So 1.25 divided by 2. Then we'll need to add our tolerance, right? So we don't want it the exact distance of our Airtag. We'll want it a little bit bigger so it can fit in there. So we'll add 0.01 to that. Then we'll need to work on the body of the credit card right here. So we need a dimension of 0.03125 there, 1/32 of an inch. But if you saw, it only moved one side of this. So we'll want to put that. We'll want to move this to where it doesn't move up and down. So let's make this side, let's constrain this so this is horizontal right there. But we also want this to be in the center. So let's grab a point using this icon right here. Put a point in the center, and you saw how you have that midpoint right there pop up. And we'll want to put it in the midpoint and then constrain it horizontally with the center of our circle right there. And it looks like we can only move this back and forth, but not side to side. So something here is going to have to give. Let's not make that horizontal. And let's pull these back apart right here. We'll actually want to use this to this right here so we can get the drawing constrained a little bit more. And this will actually be the dimension that that hugs the Airtag, right? The only way to know this dimension if you've actually sat here and print a few of these out and tried putting an Airtag in it. So I did that before, and the dimension came out to 0.046 for a dimension right there. So we've almost got all of our dimensions set up. We'll need to set how long we want this revolve to go out to. So we'll want to create a dimension going from the outside to our center point right here. And that'll kind of say how big our credit card's going to be, how long it's going to be, right? And that's going to be 2 inches. And we got that dimension from our credit card drawing right here. It's going to be half of this diagonal setting right here. And you'll be able to see why we had to use the diagonal in a second after we do the revolve. Since all this is constrained, you can see that by all the lines turn black, there's no more blue lines. And if you try to move it, it doesn't go anywhere, right? We'll press our green button right here. Press the revolve. It's right next to the extrude. And then we'll click our revolve right there. Now, we didn't add a revolve axis, so we'll need to do that back in our sketch. So we're going to take a line, and then we're going to use the construction setting, and we're just going to have that go something like that, right across our origin right there. So that'll let the software know in what direction the revolve will go around. That's the axis of spin, essentially. So we'll click on our sketch, and then click on which axis to revolve it around, and we'll click on that line that we just put up, and that will be the start of our credit card holder. And since we had to use a revolve for that, it makes a circle instead of a square, so now we can trim it up a little bit to make our credit card square. So we'll want to do a sketch, click on the top plane, and we'll want our center point rectangle. And here's where we use the other 2 dimensions of our credit card drawing. So we'll want one of them to be 2.125 and the other one to be 3.366. And you can see the revolve goes just within our credit card dimensions right there. And we're going to do a cut, so we'll want one more rectangle. And this rectangle's job is to essentially just go outside of the revolve. So we can make that 5 by 5. The dimensions aren't too important for this one, as long as it goes outside of the revolve right there. And we'll want to press the check mark right there, and then we're going to extrude, and we're just going to want to extrude this rectangle within a rectangle on the outside right there. This is going to be a cut, so we're going to do remove, and then click on the symmetric, and that'll allow it to cut both ways and not just one. So that should give us our credit card right there. Now we'll need to add a few fillets to the top. Do one right there and one right there. And this will be for 3D printing, and it'll print upwards just like it's shown right here. So we don't want to add fillets to the bottom because that's going to be on our print bed, and that'll cause failures, and we don't want that. So we'll leave this right here, but it's essentially going to print. This little spot right here is going to be on the build plate, and then it's going to build up from there. So the last thing that we have to do is add a little teardrop to the top of this. And that's because how the printer will print, it'll print one layer at a time, and it'll cut off the top of this circle right here. And really we want the sides of the credit card to hug the AirTag. We don't want the top and the bottom to. So we can mitigate that by adding a teardrop to the top. And we're going to do kind of the same way we made the credit card shape. We're going to make a sketch using the top plane. And we're going to make a line. Actually, no, we're not going to use the top plane for this. We're going to make a new plane that will go out to this top circle right here. So then we can use the circle as our cutting tool. So if we make a plane, and then that plane is going to offset from the top plane, and that should be 0.125. That should get us exactly on the outside. Oh no, it doesn't. 0.12, 0.1, 0.09, 0.807. Looks like 0.07 gets us where we want to go. Click on that. And then we're going to click on our plane, and we're going to click Sketch. Right click, View Normal to Sketch Plane. And here's where we'll want to add our teardrop. And it looks like the plane goes into the part a little bit, so this might not get me exactly where I want to, but it'll get pretty close. We'll want another line to go from here and touch this circle right here. So we can make our own circle and just make that the same exact size of the circle right here. So we should maybe, if the software is nice to us, we should be able to make these equal to each other. There we go. And then we're going to constrain this line to the circle by using our coincident. Then we can dimension this to this. We'll make that 0.75. We don't need it too big. And this we'll need to constrain to our circle as well. Let's make both of these equal to each other. And then we want to make the line tangent to this line. There we go. So if we press OK, now we're going to take this sketch and we're going to extrude a cut out of it. And let's, if you see it doesn't cut that little part, just because I didn't put the plane in the right spot, we can do symmetric and fix that right there. And that is our AirTag holder that fits in your wallet. If you have any questions or concerns, leave a comment below. If you like the video, like and subscribe. Thank you.